I was 71 years old, the day my son chose a lie over me. I can still see it. The way Marcus looked at me across that living room, his jaw tight, his eyes cold, like I was some stranger off the street instead of the man who raised him. My knee was throbbing from the surgery, still wrapped in bandages, and I was leaning on that cheap wooden cane the hospital gave me. And there she was, Simone, sitting on their cream-colored couch with mascara running down her face, fake tears soaking her cheeks, pointing at me like I was the devil himself. "He hit me," she sobbed, her voice cracking in all the right places. "Marcus, your father hit me." The worst part? That red mark on her face was real, because she'd put it there herself, slapping her own cheek hard after she'd slapped mine. I opened my mouth to speak, but Marcus held up his hand, the same hand I'd held when he learned to cross the street, when I'd taught him to tie his shoes, when I'd walked him to his first day of school after his mama passed. "Dad," he said, and his voice was ice. "I think you need to leave." That's the moment that changed everything. That's the moment I learned you can sacrifice 33 years of your life for someone and still end up on the wrong side of a lie. Before we go deeper, if you love raw, real stories about family, betrayal, and hard lessons, hit that like button. Drop a comment and tell me what part of the world you're watching from. These stories connect us all. And subscribe, because what I'm about to tell you might just change how you see the people closest to you. My name is Gary Thomas. I'm 74 years old now, and I'm telling this story from a small apartment in Richmond, Virginia. Same city where all of this went down, though in a different neighborhood than where it started. Back when this story begins, I was living in a shotgun house on the east side, near the old tobacco warehouses. This was 2019. I was 68, my knees were starting to go, and I was working maintenance at a community center, fixing leaky faucets and painting walls for folks who couldn't afford to pay much. But let me take you back, way back, to when my son Marcus was just a dream in my head and a prayer on my lips. Baltimore, Maryland, Greenmount Avenue. I was 34 years old, standing in the delivery room of Johns Hopkins Hospital, holding my wife Lorraine's hand while she squeezed it hard enough to break bones. The fluorescent lights above us were humming, and I could smell that sharp hospital smell, antiseptic mixed with fear and hope. Lorraine's forehead was covered in sweat, her brown skin glistening, and her eyes were locked on mine, like I was the only thing keeping her tethered to this world. "You're doing so good, baby," I whispered, even though my own hands were shaking. "So good." "Gary," she gasped between contractions, "promise me something. Anything. Promise me you'll teach him. Teach him to be good, to work hard, to see people for who they really are." I didn't know why she said it like that, like she already knew she wouldn't be around to help. But I squeezed her hand tighter and said, "I promise, baby. I promise." 20 minutes later, Marcus Leonard Thomas came into the world screaming. 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Had his mama's nose and my grandfather's eyes, dark and deep set like they could see straight through you. The nurse placed him in Lorraine's arms, and I swear I've never seen anything more beautiful in my life. My wife looked at our son, then looked at me, and smiled so wide it could have lit up the whole city. "We did it, Gary," she whispered. "We made something perfect." I kissed her forehead. "We sure did. We didn't have much back then. I was working construction, laying brick for 12 hours a day in the Baltimore heat. My hands were calloused, my back ached every morning, and my bank account had maybe $800 on a good month. I dropped out of community college 2 years in because Lorraine got pregnant and we needed the money. She was working at a hair salon on North Avenue, shampooing and sweeping hair for tips. But we had each other, and now we had Marcus. The apartment we brought him home to was on the 3rd floor of a walk-up building, 1 bedroom with peeling paint and a radiator that clanked all night in the winter. But Lorraine had painted the walls yellow, sunshine yellow, she called it, and hung pictures of our families on every wall. Her mama and daddy down in South Carolina. My mama in her church hat, gone 10 years, but still watching over us. I remember the first night with Marcus. It was late September and the window was cracked open, letting in the sound of traffic and distant sirens. He was sleeping in a bassinet we'd bought at a thrift store for $15, wrapped in a blue blanket Lorraine's sister had crocheted. I was sitting in the corner in a folding chair, just watching him breathe. Up and down, this tiny person who was mine to protect. Lorraine came out of the bathroom, her hair wrapped in a scarf, wearing an old t-shirt of mine that hung to her knees. She walked over and put her hand on my shoulder. "You gonna watch him all night?" she asked softly. "Maybe," I said. "Just making sure he's real." She laughed, that deep, warm laugh that made everything feel okay. He's real, Gary, and he's ours. The next few years were hard but good. I worked doubles when I could, saving every extra dollar. Marcus grew fast, walking at 10 months, talking at a year and a half. By the time he was 4, he was asking questions about everything. Why is the sky blue? Where do the birds go at night? Why can't I touch the stove? I answered every single one, even when I was exhausted, even when my bones ached from carrying cinder blocks all day. Lorraine kept working at the salon, but she started getting sick in 1991. First, it was just tiredness, then headaches. Then she started losing weight, no matter how much she ate. I took her to the emergency room 3 times before they finally ran the right tests. Pancreatic cancer, stage 3. I remember sitting in that doctor's office, small room, beige walls, a poster about hand washing on the door. The doctor was a middle-aged white woman with glasses, and she was talking about treatment options and survival rates, but all I could hear was the ringing in my ears. Lorraine sat next to me, holding my hand, and she wasn't crying. She was just staring straight ahead, like she'd already accepted something I couldn't even process. "How long?" I finally asked. The doctor looked down at her clipboard. "With aggressive treatment, 12 to 18 months. Without it." "We'll do the treatment," I said. Lorraine squeezed my hand. "Gary." "We'll do it," I repeated, my voice breaking. "We're gonna fight this." And we did. For 14 months, we fought. Chemotherapy that made her so sick she couldn't lift her head. Radiation that burned her skin. Hospital stays that drained what little savings we had. I took out loans. I begged my boss for extra shifts. I sold my truck and started taking the bus to work. Marcus was only 5, but he knew something was wrong. He'd crawl into bed with his mama, careful not to press on her stomach, and lay his little head on her chest. "Mama gonna be okay?" he'd ask me. "Mama's fighting, buddy," I'd say. "She's the strongest person I know." But even the strongest fighters lose sometimes. January 17, 1993, 4:47 in the morning. Lorraine passed in our bedroom with me holding her hand and Marcus asleep in the next room. The hospice nurse had come by the day before and said it would be soon. I'd sent Marcus to stay with Lorraine's sister, but I'd brought him back because Lorraine wanted to see him one more time. She'd held his face in her hands, hands that used to be so soft but had become thin and frail, and whispered, "You be good for your daddy. You hear me? You be good, and you work hard, and you make us proud." Marcus had nodded, tears streaming down his 5-year-old face, and climbed into bed with her one last time. After she was gone and the funeral people had taken her body, I sat on the edge of that bed and cried harder than I'd ever cried in my life. Not quiet tears, loud, ugly, gut-wrenching sobs that shook my whole body. Because I didn't know how I was going to do this, how I was going to raise a son alone, how I was going to keep the promise I'd made in that delivery room. But when the sun came up that morning, Marcus walked into the room. He was wearing his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles pajamas, his hair sticking up on one side, and he climbed onto the bed and put his little hand on my arm. "Daddy," he said, "I'm hungry." And just like that, I knew. Life keeps moving. Grief don't stop the world from turning. My son needed me. So I got up, walked to that kitchen, and made him scrambled eggs and toast. And I kept moving. Day by day, hour by hour, breath by breath. But here's what I didn't know then. What I couldn't have known. That promise I made to Lorraine, to teach Marcus to see people for who they really are, that promise was going to cost me everything. We moved to Richmond 3 months after Lorraine died. Baltimore had too many ghosts. Every corner reminded me of her. The salon where she'd worked, the hospital where she'd fought, the church where we'd buried her next to her parents in a small cemetery off Edmondson Avenue. I couldn't breathe in that city anymore. So I packed what little we had into garbage bags and cardboard boxes, strapped them to the roof of a borrowed car, and drove south. Richmond was supposed to be a fresh start. My cousin Delroy lived there, working at a construction company, and he said he could get me a job. The pay was decent, and the cost of living was cheaper than Baltimore. Most importantly, nobody there knew us. Nobody would look at Marcus with pity in their eyes. Nobody would whisper about that poor boy who lost his mama. We rented that shotgun house on the east side for $450 a month. It was small. Living room, kitchen, one bedroom, bathroom you could barely turn around in. The walls were thin, the pipes rattled, and the air conditioner only worked on Tuesdays. But it had a small backyard with an oak tree, and that was enough for me. Marcus got the bedroom. I slept on a pull-out couch in the living room for the next 13 years. I enrolled him in Fairfield Elementary, a public school 6 blocks away. On his first day, August 1993, I walked him there myself. He was wearing new sneakers I'd bought at Payless, jeans with the tags still on, and a blue backpack that was almost bigger than him. His hand was wrapped tight around mine, and I could feel him trembling. "You scared?" I asked. He nodded. I knelt down on that sidewalk, right there in front of the school. Kids were streaming past us. Parents were saying goodbye. A yellow bus was pulling up to the curb. I put my hands on his shoulders and looked him in the eyes. "Listen to me, Marcus. You're a Thomas, and Thomases don't back down from nothing. Your mama was brave, your grandmama was brave, and you got that same blood running through you. So you walk in there with your head up, you be kind to everybody, and you do your best. That's all I ask." "You hear me?" "Yes, sir," he whispered. "And Marcus?" "Yeah?" "I love you more than anything in this world. Don't you ever forget that." He hugged me so tight I almost couldn't breathe, and then he turned and walked through those school doors. I stood there for 10 minutes after he disappeared, just in case he came running back out. But he didn't. Because Marcus was brave. Even at 6 years old, he was brave. The years that followed were the hardest and the best years of my life. I worked construction 6 days a week, got up at 5 a.m. every morning, made Marcus breakfast, usually oatmeal or eggs, sometimes grits if I had time. I'd walk him to school, then catch the bus to whatever job site we were working. Most days it was residential, framing houses, pouring concrete, installing drywall. Other days it was commercial, office buildings, warehouses, storefronts. The work destroyed my body. By the time I was 40, my knees were shot. By 45, I had a herniated disc in my lower back. By 50, I could barely lift my arms above my shoulders. But I never complained, never missed a day unless I was literally in the hospital. Because every dollar I made went toward Marcus. School supplies, clothes, field trips, a used computer I bought from a pawn shop for $120 so he could do his homework, winter coats, summer camps, a basketball so he could play at the park, groceries, rent, electric bills, water bills, everything. I packed his lunch every single day. Sandwich, apple, juice box, chips. On his birthday, I'd scrape together enough money to take him to Chuck E. Cheese or the pizza place down the street. On Christmas, I'd work overtime for 2 months straight to make sure there were presents under our little plastic tree. But more than the stuff, I gave him time. Every night, no matter how tired I was, I'd sit with him at our kitchen table and help with his homework. Math problems, book reports, science projects. I'd quiz him on spelling words. I'd read his essays and tell him where he could make them better. When he got older and the homework got harder than I could understand, I'd sit there anyway, just to keep him company. "You don't got to stay up, Dad," he'd say sometimes. "I got this." "I know you do," I'd tell him, "but I want to be here just in case." On weekends, we'd do projects around the house. I taught him how to fix a leaky faucet, how to patch drywall, how to change a tire. Not because I thought he'd need those skills. I wanted more for him than a life of manual labor, but because I wanted him to know how things worked, how to take care of himself, how to be self-reliant. We'd sit on the back porch in the evenings, watching the sun go down behind the houses across the alley, and I'd talk to him about life. "Marcus," I'd say, "the world's going to try to tell you who you are. It's going to look at your skin, your address, your daddy's bank account, and make judgments. But you decide who you are. You hear me? You decide. Not them." "Yes, sir. Hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. You might not have what other folks have. You might not get the same breaks. But if you outwork them, If you show up every day and give it everything you got, you'll make it. I promise you that. He'd nod, taking it all in, and I'd watch his face in the fading light, seeing hints of Lorraine in his expressions, and I'd feel grateful. Grateful I got to be his father. Grateful she'd given me this gift before she left. Marcus excelled in school. He wasn't the smartest kid in his class. There were others who tested better, who got higher grades, but he was determined. He'd study until midnight. He'd rewrite essays 3 or 4 times. He'd practice math problems until he got them right. By middle school, he was making honor roll. By high school, he was in AP classes. Teachers loved him. He was polite, respectful, engaged. His guidance counselor, Miss Patterson, a black woman in her 50s who wore colorful scarves and smelled like cocoa butter, called me in for a meeting when Marcus was a sophomore. "Mr. Thomas," she said, sitting across from me in her small office, "I want to talk to you about Marcus's future." "He in trouble?" I asked, my heart sinking. No, she said quickly. "Quite the opposite. Marcus is an exceptional young man. His grades are strong. His test scores are solid, and his teachers all speak highly of him. I think he has a real shot at college." College, the word hung in the air between us like something precious and fragile. "College costs money," I said quietly. "A lot of money." "There are scholarships," she said. "Financial aid. Programs specifically designed to help students like Marcus. But he'll need to keep his grades up, get involved in extracurricular activities, and start thinking about where he wants to apply." I nodded, trying to process it all. College. My son could go to college. "Mr. Thomas," Miss Patterson continued, leaning forward, "you should be very proud. You're raising a remarkable young man, and he talks about you constantly. The way he looks up to you," she smiled. "It's beautiful." My throat got tight. I just nodded again, not trusting my voice. That night, I sat Marcus down at the kitchen table. I'd made spaghetti, his favorite, and we ate in comfortable silence for a while before I spoke. "Miss Patterson called me in today," I said. His eyes got wide. "Am I in trouble?" "Nah, son, opposite. She says you got a shot at college, scholarships and everything." His face lit up. "Really? Really? But it means you got to keep working hard, maybe even harder than you already are." "I can do that," he said quickly. "I will." I reached across the table and put my hand over his. "Marcus, your mama would be so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. You know that, right?" He nodded, his eyes getting shiny. "I'm going to make it, Dad. I'm going to make you proud. I'm going to get to college, get a good job, and buy you a big house. You won't have to work so hard anymore." I laughed, but my own eyes were stinging. "You don't owe me nothing, son. You just be happy. That's all I want." "I know," he said, "but I'm still going to do it." And he did. God help me, he really did. Marcus graduated from Thomas Jefferson High School in 2005, ranked 15th in his class. He got accepted to Virginia Commonwealth University on a partial academic scholarship. I worked double shifts for months to cover what the scholarship didn't, and Marcus got a part-time job at the campus bookstore. He studied business administration, marketing, management, finance, all things I barely understood. But every time he came home for break, he'd tell me about his classes, his professors, his projects, and I'd listen, even when I didn't understand half the words coming out of his mouth, because I was just so damn proud. He graduated in 2009, right in the middle of the recession. Jobs were scarce, and I worried he'd end up back in that shotgun house, sleeping on the couch with me. But Marcus kept pushing. He applied to 100 places, got rejected from 90, and finally landed an entry-level position at a marketing firm in downtown Richmond. The pay wasn't great, $28,000 a year, but it was a start. And Marcus approached it the same way he approached everything else, with determination and hustle. He showed up early, stayed late, volunteered for every project. Within 2 years, he got promoted. Within 5 years, he was a senior account manager making $65,000 a year. By the time he was 30, in 2017, he was making over $100,000. My son. The boy I'd raised in a shotgun house on the east side of Richmond. The boy who'd grown up eating cereal for dinner some nights, because that's all we had. That boy was now a successful man with a 401k and a nice apartment in the Fan District, and a car that didn't break down every other month. I'd never been more proud of anything in my entire life. But I should have remembered what Lorraine said in that delivery room. I should have remembered her last words to Marcus. Be good. Work hard. See people for who they really are. Because in 2018, Marcus met someone, and I saw her for exactly who she was from the very first moment. But my son was blind. Her name was Simone Taylor, and she walked into Marcus's life like a hurricane wearing designer heels. It was June 2018. Marcus brought her to Sunday dinner at my place, something we've been doing every week since he moved out. I'd cook something simple. We'd eat together, talk about our weeks. It was our time, our tradition. He texted me at noon. Dad, I'm bringing someone today. Is that okay? I texted back. Course. Can't wait to meet her. But when they walked through my door at 5 p.m., something in my chest tightened. Simone was beautiful. I'll give her that. Light-skinned with long straightened hair that fell past her shoulders, sharp cheekbones, perfectly done makeup. She was wearing a white sundress that probably cost more than my monthly electric bill and gold jewelry that caught the light. She smiled wide when she saw me, showing perfect white teeth. Mr. Thomas, she said, extending her hand. Her nails were long and painted red. I've heard so much about you. Call me Gary, I said, shaking her hand. It was soft, too soft. Like she'd never worked a day in her life. We sat down to eat. Baked chicken, collard greens, cornbread, sweet potato casserole. I'd been cooking since 2 p.m. to make sure everything was perfect. Marcus talked the whole meal, telling me about how they'd met at a networking event, how Simone worked in public relations, how she was so talented and so driven. Simone smiled and nodded, barely touching her food. She pushed the collard greens around her plate like they might bite her. You don't like greens? I asked. Oh, they're wonderful, she said quickly. I'm just watching my figure. Gotta stay camera ready for work, you know? I didn't know what that meant, but I nodded. After dinner, Marcus helped me clear the dishes while Simone sat on my couch, scrolling through her phone. I could hear her nails clicking on the screen. What do you think, Dad? Marcus whispered in the kitchen, his eyes bright with hope. I dried my hands on a dish towel, choosing my words carefully. She seems nice. She's amazing, he said. Smart, beautiful, ambitious. She knows so many people, Dad. She's connected. That's good, son. Just take your time, all right? Get to know her. I will, he said, grinning. But, Dad, I really think she's special. I wanted to tell him what I saw. I wanted to tell him that Simone had barely looked me in the eye all night. That she'd grimaced when she walked into my house, like the place wasn't good enough for her. That she'd asked how old my couch was and seemed horrified when I said 15 years. That when I'd asked about her family, she'd changed the subject. That when I'd asked about her work, she'd been vague, saying things like, I help brands build their image, without actually explaining what that meant. But I didn't say any of that, because I could see it in his face. He was already falling for her. Over the next few months, I watched it happen. Marcus and Simone became inseparable. He took her to nice restaurants I knew he couldn't really afford. He bought her gifts, purses, shoes, jewelry. He started dressing differently, wearing expensive shirts and shoes that Simone picked out for him. Every Sunday, they'd come to dinner, and every Sunday, I saw more things that bothered me. The way Simone talked about money constantly. Marcus is going to buy me this. Marcus is taking me there. Marcus is saving up for that. The way she'd roll her eyes when I'd tell stories about Marcus's childhood, like our past was embarrassing to her. The way she'd interrupt Marcus mid-sentence, correcting him or finishing his thoughts. The way she'd complain about her apartment, her car, her clothes, even though all of it was nicer than anything I'd ever owned. One Sunday in October, she didn't touch her food at all. Simone, I said gently, you feeling okay? You're not eating. I'm fine, she said, not looking up from her phone. I just prefer more modern cuisine, no offense. Modern cuisine, I repeated. You know, lighter, less fried, more organic. My collard greens weren't fried, and I'd made my cornbread with buttermilk and real butter, the same way my mama taught me. But I bit my tongue. After they left that night, I called Marcus. Hey, Dad, he answered, sounding happy. Did you want to tell me something? Yeah, son. Can we talk? Just you and me? There was a pause. Is everything okay? Everything's fine. I got some concerns about Simone. The warmth in his voice disappeared. What kind of concerns? Marcus, I just want you to be careful. Take your time with this relationship. Make sure you really know her before I what, Dad? Before I get serious? Before I commit? I'm just saying, Dad, I love her. The words hit me like a punch. Marcus, you've only known her 4 months. 4 months is enough to know, he said, and I could hear the edge in his voice. And I don't understand why you're not happy for me. I am happy for you, son. I just, do you have a problem with her? Yes, I wanted to scream. Yes, I have a problem with the way she treats you like an ATM. I have a problem with the way she looks down on me and on our family and on everything we came from. I have a problem with the way she's changing you, making you think you need to be something you're not. But what I said was, I just want you to be sure. That's all. I am sure, Dad. Simone is the one, and I hope you can support that. He hung up before I could respond. The next Sunday, they didn't come to dinner, or the Sunday after that, or the one after that. Marcus sent short texts. Sorry, busy. Simone isn't feeling well. We have plans. By November, I hadn't seen my son in 3 weeks. The longest we'd gone without seeing each other since Lorraine died. I tried calling. He'd answer, but the conversations were brief. He was always on his way somewhere, always in the middle of something. And Simone was always there in the background, saying things like, baby, we need to go, or Marcus, are you ready yet? December came, and Marcus called me on a Tuesday night. Hey, Dad, how are you? I'm good, son. Miss you, though. When you coming by? Actually, that's why I'm calling. Simone and I are hosting Christmas this year at my place. Can you come? Of course, I said, trying to keep the hurt out of my voice. We'd always spent Christmas at my house. Always. Great, it's December 23rd at 6 p.m. Dress nice, okay? Simone's inviting some of her friends. Friends? I thought it was family. It is. But Simone's friends are like family to her. You'll like them, Dad. They're great people. I showed up on December 23rd wearing my best slacks and the button-down shirt Marcus had bought me for my birthday. I'd brought a sweet potato pie I'd baked that morning and a gift for Marcus, a leather wallet I'd saved up for. Marcus's apartment was full of people I didn't know. White folks in expensive clothes, holding wine glasses, talking about things like market trends and portfolio diversification. Christmas music was playing. Not the gospel Christmas music I grew up with, but some modern instrumental stuff that all sounded the same. Simone was holding court in the middle of the living room, laughing loudly, her hand on Marcus's arm. She was wearing a red dress that was cut low and diamond earrings that caught the light. When she saw me, her smile faltered for just a second before she recovered. Gary, she said, walking over. You made it. She hugged me briefly, barely touching me, then took the pie from my hands. Oh, you didn't have to bring anything. We have catering. It's sweet potato pie, I said. Marcus's favorite. How thoughtful, she said, in a tone that suggested it wasn't thoughtful at all. She set it on the kitchen counter, behind 3 other store-bought desserts. The party lasted 4 hours. I spent most of it sitting on the edge of Marcus's couch, holding a glass of water, watching my son laugh with people who didn't know him. Didn't know that he grew up in a shotgun house. Didn't know that his mama died when he was 5. Didn't know that he used to eat cereal for dinner because that's all we could afford. Simone didn't talk to me once after that initial greeting. And Marcus was so busy playing host that he barely looked my way. I left at 9 p.m., taking my untouched pie with me. Nobody noticed. But the next morning, Marcus called. Hey, Dad, thanks for coming last night. Sure, I said quietly. Listen, I have some news. Simone and I are engaged. I proposed last night after everyone left. She said yes. My heart dropped into my stomach. Marcus, I know it seems fast, Dad, but when you know, you know. The wedding's in March. Small ceremony. Just close friends and family. You'll walk me down the aisle, right? Son, can we talk about this? Just you and me? About what? About Simone. About whether you're sure this is... Dad, don't start, please. I called to share good news, not to get a lecture. I'm not lecturing. I'm your father and I'm worried. Well, don't be. I'm happy, happier than I've been in a long time, and I hope you can be happy for me. His voice was firm, final. I closed my eyes, feeling the weight of the moment, feeling the choice I had to make, push harder and lose him, or stay quiet and watch him make what I knew was a mistake. I'm happy for you, son, I lied. Congratulations. Thanks, Dad. I love you. Love you too. After I hung up, I sat at my kitchen table for an hour, staring at that sweet potato pie. And I thought about Lorraine, about her last words to Marcus, about the promise I'd made. Teach him to see people for who they really are. But how do you teach that to someone who doesn't want to see? They got married on March 16th, 2019, a Saturday afternoon at a hotel in downtown Richmond. The wedding was small, like Marcus said, maybe 40 people total. Simone's family, her mother, a stern-looking woman with pressed hair and a permanent frown, her father, a quiet man in an expensive suit, two sisters who looked like younger versions of Simone. Simone's friends from work, dressed in clothes that cost more than my monthly rent. A few people from Marcus's job. And me, sitting in the third row, wearing the same suit I'd worn to Lorraine's funeral 26 years earlier. It still fit, barely. The ceremony was in a ballroom with white chairs and white flowers and white fabric draped everywhere. A violinist played while people took their seats. Everything was elegant, perfect, cold. I watched my son stand at the altar in a black tuxedo, looking happier than I'd seen him in months. And I watched Simone walk down the aisle in a dress that must have cost thousands of dollars, her face glowing with triumph more than joy. When the preacher said, "If anyone objects to this union," I felt my hands grip the arms of my chair. My heart was pounding. My mouth went dry. This was it. This was my last chance to say something, to warn him one more time. But I looked at Marcus's face, so full of hope and happiness, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't be the one to ruin this moment for him. So I stayed silent. The reception was in the same hotel. Dinner was served. Chicken or fish, take your pick. There was dancing. Toasts. Simone's maid of honor gave a speech about how Simone finally found someone good enough for her. One of Marcus's work friends talked about what a dedicated guy Marcus was, always going the extra mile. When it was my turn to give a toast, I stood up with a glass of champagne I wasn't going to drink and looked at my son. "Marcus," I said, my voice carrying across the ballroom, "your mama would have been so proud to see you today. You've become a good man, a strong man, a hard-working man, and I hope," my voice cracked, "I hope you always remember where you came from, always remember the values we taught you, and always remember that real love means choosing each other every day, even when it's hard, even when times get tough, even when the money runs low." I looked at Simone, and she looked back at me with cold eyes. Because times will get tough. They always do. And that's when you find out what people are really made of. The room was quiet for a beat too long. Then Marcus stood up and raised his glass. "Thank you, Dad, for everything. I love you." People clapped. The moment passed, but I saw the way Simone's jaw had tightened. I saw the way her mother whispered something in her ear. I saw the way her friends exchanged glances. They knew I didn't approve, and they didn't care. After the reception, Marcus and Simone left for their honeymoon in the Bahamas. 2 weeks at some all-inclusive resort that cost more than I made in 3 months. Marcus had paid for everything, the wedding, the honeymoon, Simone's dress. He'd even paid for Simone's family's hotel rooms. When they got back, I called Marcus to see how it went. "It was incredible, Dad," he said, sounding exhausted but happy. "The beach, the food, the resort, Simone loved it. Though, honestly, I think I need a vacation from my vacation. We spent so much money." "Yeah?" "Yeah. The resort charged us for everything. Drinks, excursions, spa treatments. Our credit card bill is going to be brutal." I wanted to ask if Simone had offered to help pay for any of it, if she'd contributed to the honeymoon or the wedding. But I already knew the answer. "Well, you're both working," I said carefully. "You'll figure it out." "Yeah, for sure. Simone's actually between jobs right now. The PR firm she was working for let her go right before the wedding." My stomach dropped. "She lost her job?" "It's fine, Dad. She'll find something else. She's talented, and in the meantime, I can cover the bills. We'll be okay." We? Like they were a team, like Simone was pulling her weight. Over the next few months, I watched from a distance as Marcus's life changed. He and Simone moved into a bigger apartment in the museum district, a 2-bedroom with hardwood floors and updated appliances and parking spots. Marcus posted pictures on Facebook showing me their new place. It was beautiful. It was also expensive, $1,200 a month. "Can you afford that?" I'd asked when he told me. "Yeah, Dad, I'm making good money." "But what about Simone? Did she find a job?" "Not yet, but she's looking." It's a tough market right now. Tough market. The same words people had used during the recession. But the recession was over. The economy was doing fine. People were hiring, but not Simone, apparently. I stopped by their new apartment unannounced one Saturday in June. I tried calling Marcus all week, but he hadn't answered. I was worried. When I knocked on their door, Simone answered. She was wearing silk pajamas at 2 p.m., her hair wrapped in a bonnet, her face bare of makeup. "Gary," she said, not opening the door all the way. "What are you doing here?" "I came to see Marcus. Is he home?" "He's at work." "On a Saturday?" "He's been picking up extra shifts. We need the money." She said it like it was nothing, like it was normal for Marcus to work weekends while she slept in silk pajamas in the middle of the afternoon. "Can I come in?" I asked. She hesitated, then opened the door. "Just for a minute. I'm busy." The apartment was a mess from our takeout containers on the coffee table, designer shopping bags piled in the corner, a stack of unopened mail on the kitchen counter. I could see credit card statements, bills, notices. "How's the job search going?" I asked. "Fine," she said shortly. "I have some interviews lined up." "That's good." Marcus must be relieved. She folded her arms across her chest. "Why are you really here, Gary?" I looked at her. This woman my son had married, this woman who was living off his hard work while contributing nothing. And I made a choice. "I'm here because I'm worried about my son. He's working himself to death, and you're—" I gestured around the apartment. Her eyes went cold. "I'm what?" "You're not working. You're spending money you didn't earn. And Marcus is too blind to see what you're doing." "Excuse me?" "You heard me. You saw a good man, a successful man, and you latched on. You're using him." Simone's face twisted with rage. "Get out." "Simone, get out of my house, Gary. Now." I left, but not before I saw her pull out her phone. Not before I heard her say, "Baby, you need to come home right now. Your father just disrespected me in our home." When Marcus called me an hour later, his voice was ice. "Dad, what the hell did you say to Simone?" "The truth." "The truth? You came into our home and insulted my wife?" "Marcus, she's not working. She's spending all your money. Can't you see?" "She's looking for work, Dad. The market is tough." "The market isn't tough. She isn't trying." "How dare you?" His voice was shaking with anger. "How dare you judge her? You don't know what she's going through. You don't know how hard it is out there." "I know hard work, Marcus. I've been working hard my whole life. And I know when someone isn't." "You know what, Dad? I'm done. I'm done with your negativity. I'm done with your judgment. Simone is my wife. I love her. And if you can't respect that, then maybe we need some space." "Marcus, don't call me for a while, Dad. I need to cool off." He hung up, and for the next 3 months, my son didn't speak to me. September 2019. I turned 66 years old alone. No call from Marcus. No text. No visit. The first birthday I'd spent alone since Lorraine died. I sat in my shotgun house eating a piece of store-bought cake, watching reruns of old westerns, wondering where I'd gone wrong. Wondering if I'd pushed too hard. Wondering if I should have just kept my mouth shut and let Marcus figure things out on his own. My knees were getting worse. The pain was constant now. A deep ache that started in my joints and spread down to my bones. Some mornings I could barely get out of bed. My doctor said it was osteoarthritis, said I needed to consider knee replacement surgery eventually. "How much does that cost?" I'd asked. "With insurance, probably $2,000 to $3,000 out of pocket." I'd laughed. A bitter, tired laugh. 2 to 3,000 might as well have been 2 to 3 million. I was still working maintenance at the community center, but the work was getting harder. Climbing ladders, lifting equipment, bending down to fix broken toilets. Every task took longer than it used to. Every day ended with me soaking my knees in Epsom salt and taking double the recommended dose of ibuprofen. October came and went. Then November, Thanksgiving. I spent it alone, eating a rotisserie chicken from the grocery store and watching football. Then on December 3rd, my phone rang. Marcus. My hands were shaking when I answered. "Hello? Hey, Dad." His voice was quiet, tired. "Marcus, how are you, son?" I'm okay. Listen, I wanted to call and apologize for how I acted, for cutting you off. That wasn't right." Relief flooded through me. "It's okay, son. I understand. I maybe pushed too hard. I just worry about you." "I know you do." He paused. "And Dad, you were right about some things." My heart started beating faster. "Yeah?" "Simone still hasn't found a job. She says she's looking, but I don't know. She sleeps until noon most days. She spends money on clothes and shoes and going out with her friends. And whenever I bring it up, she gets defensive, says I'm being controlling, says I don't understand the pressure she's under. Marcus, I'm drowning, Dad. I'm working 60-hour weeks. I'm picking up freelance projects on the side. I'm barely sleeping. And I come home to a messy apartment, no dinner, and credit card bills that keep getting higher. Last month, our Visa bill was $3,200. $3,200? And I don't even know what half of it is from. Simone handles the credit cards. She says she's managing our finances. But whenever I ask to see the statements, she changes the subject. I wanted to say I told you so. I wanted to scream it. But instead I said, what are you going to do? I don't know. I love her, Dad. I do. But I'm starting to wonder if love is enough. Love is important, I said carefully. But so is partnership. So is respect. So is pulling your weight. I know that now. Marcus, have you talked to her? Really talked to her? I've tried, but she just cries, says I don't appreciate her, says marriage is hard and I'm not being supportive. I close my eyes, feeling the weight of his pain. Come see me, son. Come have Sunday dinner. Just you. We need to talk. Okay, this Sunday, I'll be there. But when Sunday came, Marcus didn't show up. He texted at the last minute, sorry, Dad. Simone isn't feeling well. I need to stay home with her. The next Sunday, Simone's mom is visiting. Rain check. The Sunday after that, work emergency. Sorry, it was like deja vu, like we were right back where we started. Then in late December, everything changed. I was at work, fixing a broken water fountain in the community center's gym when my knee gave out, just completely buckled. I fell hard, cracking my kneecap on the concrete floor. The pain was blinding, sharp and hot and all-consuming. I couldn't stand, couldn't walk, could barely breathe. Someone called an ambulance. They took me to VCU Medical Center, where an orthopedic surgeon examined me and delivered the news. Mr. Thomas, you fractured your patella, and your joint deterioration is severe. You need surgery, knee replacement for the left knee, and repair for the fracture. When? As soon as possible. This week if we can schedule it. And the cost? The surgeon looked uncomfortable. With your insurance, you're looking at around $4,500 out of pocket. I felt sick. I had maybe $1,200 in savings. Maybe. Can I wait? I asked. Can I just heal on my own? Mr. Thomas, without surgery, you're risking permanent damage, chronic pain, potential disability. So I had the surgery. December 20th, 2019. They put me under, opened up my knee, replaced the joint, repaired the fracture. I woke up groggy and nauseous, my leg wrapped in bandages and braces, pain radiating through my entire body. The hospital kept me for 2 days, then sent me home with instructions. Keep weight off it for 6 weeks, physical therapy 3 times a week, pain medication, follow-up appointments. I called Marcus from my hospital bed. Dad? He answered on the first ring. What's going on? Your number showed up as the hospital. I had surgery, son. Knee replacement. What? When? Why didn't you call me? It happened fast. I'm okay, but I'm going to need some help for a few weeks, recovery and all. Of course, Dad. Listen, Simone and I live closer to the hospital than you do. Why don't you come stay with us? Just until you're healed up. Marcus, I don't want to intrude. You're not intruding. You're my father. Come stay with us. We have a guest room. It's all set up. I hesitated. The thought of being under the same roof as Simone made my stomach turn. But I also couldn't deny the practical side. Their apartment was closer to my physical therapy, and I needed help. Real help. Okay, I said finally. Thank you, son. Don't thank me, Dad. It's what family does. Marcus picked me up from the hospital on December 22nd. He helped me into his car, carefully maneuvering my leg, which was stiff and throbbing despite the pain meds. The drive to their apartment took 20 minutes. Every bump in the road sent shockwaves through my knee. When we got there, Simone was waiting in the doorway. She was wearing yoga pants and a tight tank top, her hair pulled back, her face carefully neutral. Gary, she said, not moving to help. Welcome. Thank you for having me, I said, even though the words tasted like ash. Marcus helped me inside, guiding me to the guest room. It was small but clean, a double bed with white sheets, a dresser, a lamp, a window that looked out onto the parking lot. I'll let you rest, Marcus said. Just call if you need anything. I lay down on that bed, exhausted and hurting, and stared at the ceiling. This was going to be a long few weeks. I had no idea just how long. The first week at Marcus and Simone's apartment, I tried to stay out of the way. I'd wake up early, old habits die hard, and hobble to the bathroom on the crutches the hospital gave me. My knee was still wrapped in bandages, and the pain was a constant low throb that spiked whenever I moved wrong. The physical therapist said that was normal, said it would get better. Marcus would already be gone by the time I got up. He left for work at 6:30 a.m. every morning, and I wouldn't see him again until 7 or 8 p.m., sometimes later. Simone, though? Simone slept until noon. Every day, I'd sit in the living room, reading or watching TV on low volume, and I'd hear her alarm go off at 10 a.m. It would beep for 5 minutes before she'd hit snooze. Then again at 10:15, then 10:30. She'd finally emerge around noon, wearing silk robes or expensive pajamas, her hair wrapped, scrolling through her phone. "Morning, Gary," she'd say without looking at me. "Good afternoon," I'd reply. She'd make herself coffee, using the expensive Keurig machine that Marcus had bought her, and take it back to the bedroom. Or she'd sit on the couch with her laptop, clicking through shopping websites. I could see the screen from where I sat. Designer purses, shoes, dresses, jewelry. "You got interviews today?" I'd ask sometimes. "Not today," she'd say, "but I have a few leads I'm following up on." Lies. All lies. I could see it in the way she never actually sent emails or made phone calls. The way she'd close the laptop when Marcus came home and say, "It was such a productive day." The second week, I started noticing more things. The credit card statements piled up on the kitchen counter. I wasn't trying to snoop. They were just there, in plain sight. I saw the numbers: $3,000 to Nordstrom, $1,800 to Sephora, $2,200 to some restaurant called Le Rêve. "Simone," I said one afternoon, "what's Le Rêve?" She looked up from her phone, annoyed. "It's a French restaurant." "Why?" "Just saw it on one of the bills. $2,200 seems like a lot for dinner." Her eyes narrowed. "Marcus took me there for our anniversary, and it's none of your business." "It is my business when my son is working himself to death to pay for it." "Excuse me?" "You heard me. Marcus is working 60, 70 hours a week, and you're sleeping until noon and spending thousands of dollars on shoes." She stood up, her face flushed with anger. "You have no idea what I do all day. You have no idea how hard it is to manage a household, to handle the finances, to support Marcus in his career." "Support him? By spending all his money?" "Get out of my face, Gary, before I say something I regret." She stormed into the bedroom and slammed the door. I sat there, my hands shaking, wondering how much longer I could keep my mouth shut. That night when Marcus came home at 9 p.m. looking exhausted, I pulled him aside. "Marcus, can we talk?" "About what, Dad?" "About Simone, about the money." His face went hard. "Dad, not now." "When then? When you're bankrupt? When you lose everything you've worked for?" "I said not now." He walked past me into the kitchen. I wanted to push. I wanted to sit him down and show him the credit card bills, the shopping bags piled in the closet, the lies Simone told every single day. But I also saw how tired he looked, how defeated. And I realized pushing him wasn't going to work. So I tried a different approach. The third week, I started documenting. I couldn't walk well enough to follow Simone around, but I didn't need to. She wasn't hiding anything. Every day, packages arrived. FedEx, UPS, Amazon, designer bags, makeup, clothes. I'd see her open them, take pictures for Instagram, then shove them in the closet. One afternoon, while Simone was in the shower, I took pictures of the credit card statements on my phone, not to show Marcus, not yet, but to have proof, to have something concrete when the time came. I also started noticing how Simone treated Marcus, the way she'd greet him at the door not with a kiss or a hug, but with a complaint. "The Wi-Fi was slow today. The apartment is too hot. I need new workout clothes." The way she'd guilt trip him whenever he suggested cutting back on spending. "Don't you love me? Don't you want me to be happy?" The way she'd manipulate him when he asked about her job search. "I had 3 interviews this week, and they all went great. Something will come through soon, baby. You just have to be patient with me." But there were no interviews. I knew because I was home all day. I'd hear her on the phone with her friends, gossiping and laughing. I'd hear her watching reality TV shows at full volume, but I never heard her on a professional call. Never heard her talking to recruiters or potential employers. Marcus couldn't see it because he was never home. He left before sunrise and came back after dark, He was living with her but didn't actually see her life, didn't see how she spent her days. But I saw, and it made me sick. The fourth week, things came to a head. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Marcus was at work. I was sitting in the living room, my knee propped up, reading a book my physical therapist had lent me. Simone was on the couch, scrolling through her phone. A package arrived. She jumped up to get it, ripped it open, right there in the living room. Inside was a designer handbag, red leather with gold hardware. I recognized the brand from commercials. It cost at least $2,000. Simone, I said quietly, does Marcus know you bought that? It's none of your concern, Gary. It is when he's breaking his back to pay for it. She turned to face me, her eyes blazing. You know what your problem is, Gary? You're jealous. You're jealous that Marcus made something of himself, that he's not living in some rundown house, working some dead-end job like you. The words hit like a slap, but I kept my voice steady. I'm not jealous, Simone. I'm proud of Marcus, but I raised him better than this. I raised him to value hard work, to value partnership, to see people for who they really are. And what am I, Gary? Huh? What do you think I am? I think you're a leech. I think you saw a good man with a good job and decided to bleed him dry. She walked toward me, her face twisted with rage. How dare you? How dare you come into my home and disrespect me? This isn't your home, Simone. It's Marcus's home. Paid for with Marcus's money, from Marcus's job, while you sit here doing nothing. Get out. I can't. In case you forgot, I just had surgery. Your husband invited me here. Then stay in your room. Stay out of my sight, because I'm done pretending to tolerate you. She grabbed her new purse and her keys and stormed out of the apartment, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. I sat there, my heart pounding, my hands trembling. I knew I'd crossed a line. I knew there would be consequences. But I also knew I was right. And sometimes being right is the loneliest place in the world. Simone came back 3 hours later with red, swollen eyes and a story ready. I heard her key in the lock and my stomach dropped. I was still in the living room, my knee propped up, watching the news on low volume. She walked in, saw me, and her face crumpled into tears. Gary, she said, her voice shaking, we need to talk. About what? About today. About what you said to me. I kept my voice calm. Simone, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, but everything I said was true. No, she shook her head and the tears came harder. No, you don't understand. You've been horrible to me since the day we met. You've judged me. You've criticized me. You've made me feel unwelcome in my own home. That's not. And today, her voice rose, getting louder. Today you crossed the line. You called me names. You attacked my character, and I won't stand for it anymore. Simone, I called you a leech because that's what you're doing. You're leeching off my son. Get out, she screamed. Get out of my house. I can't walk, Simone. You know that. I don't care. Get out. Pack your things and leave. This isn't your house. It's Marcus's house, and he invited me here. She pulled out her phone, her hands shaking. Then I'm calling Marcus. He needs to choose, me or you. Go ahead, I said, even though my heart was pounding. Call him. She dialed, putting the phone on speaker. It rang 3 times before Marcus answered. Hey, baby, what's up? Marcus. Her voice broke and the tears flowed freely now. Marcus, you need to come home right now. What? What's wrong? Are you okay? No, I'm not okay. Your father attacked me. My blood ran cold. That's a lie. He's been verbally abusing me all day, Marcus, calling me names, telling me I'm worthless. And then he tried to grab me. That's a lie, I shouted. Simone, you know that's a lie. Marcus, please, she sobbed. I don't feel safe. He's scaring me. I'm on my way, Marcus said, and the line went dead. I stared at Simone. She stared back at me, and for just a second her tears stopped. Her face went cold, calculating. Then the tears started again. You're going to tell him the truth, I said. The truth is what I just told him, she replied, her voice icy, and he's going to believe me, because I'm his wife. Simone, you should have stayed out of it. Gary, you should have minded your business, but you couldn't help yourself, could you? And now you're going to lose him. She walked into the bedroom and closed the door, and I sat there, alone in that living room, feeling the walls closing in. Marcus came home 20 minutes later. I heard his car pull into the parking lot, heard his footsteps running up the stairs, heard the key turning in the lock. He burst through the door, his face flushed, his eyes wild with worry. Simone? Baby? She came out of the bedroom, her face red and swollen, her hands shaking. Marcus, she whispered, running to him. She threw her arms around him, burying her face in his chest. I was so scared. Marcus held her, his eyes finding mine over her shoulder, and the look in them was pure anger. Dad, what happened? Marcus, she's lying. He's been horrible to me all day, Simone sobbed. Calling me names, saying I'm using you, and then he got aggressive. He tried to grab my arm. I never touched her, Marcus. I swear to God, I never laid a hand on her. He's lying, Simone said, pulling back to look at Marcus. Baby, I'm scared. I don't feel safe with him here. Marcus looked between us, his wife and his father, and I could see it happening in real time, the choice he was making, the side he was choosing. Dad, he said slowly, I think you need to leave. The words hit me like a truck. Marcus, no, Dad, I can't have this. I can't have you coming into my home and attacking my wife. I didn't attack her. Marcus, you know me. You know I would never. I know you've never liked Simone. I know you've judged her from day one, and I've tried to be understanding. I've tried to see your side, but this, he shook his head, this is too far. Marcus, please, listen to me. She's lying. She's been lying to you about everything, the job search, the spending, all of it. Dad, stop. She's using you, son. Can't you see that? Stop! Marcus's voice was thunder. Just stop, Dad. I'm done. I'm done with your accusations. I'm done with your negativity. I love Simone. She's my wife, and if you can't respect that, then we have nothing more to talk about. Simone was still crying, her face buried in Marcus's chest. But I saw it. Just for a second, I saw her face turn toward me, and there was no sadness in her eyes, just cold, calculated victory. Pack your things, Marcus said quietly. I'll drive you home tonight. Marcus, please. Now, Dad. I stood up, using my crutches to hobble toward the guest room. Every step sent pain shooting through my knee, but that pain was nothing compared to the pain in my chest. The pain of watching my son choose a lie over the truth. Choose her over me. I packed my few belongings into the duffel bag I'd brought, some clothes, my medications, my toiletries. It took me 20 minutes, moving slowly, my hands shaking. When I came out, Marcus was standing by the door, keys in hand. Simone was on the couch, her eyes red, a tissue in her hand. Bye, Gary, she said softly. I'm sorry it had to end this way. I looked at her, this woman who had destroyed my relationship with my son in under 2 years, and I said the only thing I could think of. My son is too good for you. Her face twisted with rage. She stood up and walked toward me, and before I could react, she slapped me across the face. The crack echoed through the apartment. My cheek burned, my vision blurred. Dad! Marcus grabbed Simone, pulling her back. Simone, what the hell? He attacked me, she screamed. You saw it. He said I wasn't good enough, and he came at me, and I defended myself. I didn't. My voice was shaking. Marcus, I didn't move. I was standing still. She hit me. But Marcus was looking at Simone, not me, and she was crying again, her whole body shaking, clinging to him. Baby, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but he's been horrible to me. I couldn't take it anymore. I just reacted. It's okay, Marcus whispered, holding her. It's okay, baby. You're okay. He didn't even look at me as he said, Let's go, Dad. The drive to my house was silent. Marcus stared at the road, his jaw tight, his hands gripping the steering wheel. I sat in the passenger seat, my cheeks still stinging, my heart breaking into pieces. When we pulled up to my shotgun house, Marcus finally spoke. I don't know what to say, Dad. Say you believe me. He was quiet for a long moment. Then I believe Simone. The words were a knife in my chest. Marcus, goodbye, Dad. I got out of the car, grabbed my crutches and my bag from the back seat, and watched him drive away. Watched the taillights disappear into the night. And I stood there in front of my house in the cold January air, wondering if I'd ever see my son again. January through April 2020 were the darkest months of my life. I went to physical therapy 3 times a week, working to rebuild the strength in my knee. The therapist, a young woman named Jessica with kind eyes, would push me through exercises that made me grit my teeth and sweat through my shirt. Leg lifts, resistance bands, walking on the treadmill. Every session was agony, but I pushed through. You're doing great, Mr. Thomas, Jessica would say. Most patients your age don't recover this well. But what was I recovering for? To go back to work at the community center? To sit alone in my house every night? Marcus didn't call, didn't text. Nothing. I tried reaching out, called him 5 times that first week. Every call went to voicemail. I left messages. Marcus, please call me back. We need to talk. I love you, but he never responded. I texted, I'm sorry for any pain I caused, but please know I love you and I'm worried about you. No response. I even wrote him a letter, an actual handwritten letter, explaining everything. How I saw Simone spending money, how she wasn't looking for work, how she manipulated him. I put it all down on paper, sealed it in an envelope, and mailed it to his apartment. It came back 2 weeks later. Return to sender. Written across the front in handwriting I didn't recognize. Simone's handwriting. By March, I'd accepted it. I'd lost my son. The community center let me go in February. They said it was budget cuts, but I knew the truth. I couldn't do the physical work anymore. My knee was better, but not good enough to climb ladders or lift heavy equipment. I was 66 years old with a busted knee and no prospects. I applied for jobs, maintenance positions, janitorial work, anything I could physically manage. But nobody was hiring a 66-year-old man with arthritis. I started selling things, my old tools, my television, furniture I didn't need, just to make rent and buy groceries. By April, I was down to $800 in my bank account. I thought about calling Marcus, swallowing my pride and asking for help. But every time I picked up the phone, I remembered the way he looked at me that night, the way he'd chosen Simone over me. And I couldn't do it. Then in May, everything changed. I was sitting on my back porch watching the sunset when my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Mr. Thomas? This is Officer Jennifer Mills with the Richmond Police Department. My heart stopped. Is Marcus okay? Your son is fine, sir, but we need you to come down to the station. There's been an incident involving your daughter-in-law, and Marcus has requested your presence. I drove to the police station with shaking hands, my mind racing through 1,000 possibilities. When I got there, Officer Mills met me at the front desk, a black woman in her 30s with a no-nonsense expression. Mr. Thomas, thank you for coming. Your son is in interview room 2. I'll take you to him. She led me down a hallway with fluorescent lights and beige walls. We stopped at a door marked Interview Room 2, and she knocked before opening it. Marcus was sitting at a metal table, his head in his hands. He looked terrible. His hair was disheveled, his face was pale, and his eyes were red. Marcus, I said softly. He looked up, and when he saw me, his face crumpled. Dad? I crossed the room in 3 steps and pulled him into a hug. He sobbed into my shoulder, deep gut-wrenching sobs that shook his whole body. I'm so sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. You were right. You were right about everything. What happened, son? What's going on? Officer Mills cleared her throat. Mr. Thomas, your daughter-in-law, Simone Taylor Thomas, was arrested this morning for attempted fraud and theft. She was caught trying to drain your son's bank accounts and transfer the money to an offshore account in the Cayman Islands. My mind reeled. What? Marcus pulled back, wiping his eyes. She's been planning it for months, Dad. Maybe longer. She set up the offshore account last year. She's been slowly moving money, just small amounts so I wouldn't notice. But last week, she tried to move everything. $43,000, my entire savings, my retirement account, everything. How did you catch her? The bank flagged it as suspicious. They called me to verify the transaction. I had no idea what they were talking about. So I came home early from work to ask Simone, and I found her packing. She was just packing her things, getting ready to leave. He put his head in his hands again, and his voice broke. She wasn't even sorry, Dad. When I confronted her, she just laughed, said I was stupid for not seeing it coming, said she never loved me, that I was just a meal ticket. I felt rage course through me, hot and vicious. Where is she now? Holding cell, Officer Mills said. She'll be arraigned tomorrow morning. The district attorney is pressing charges, fraud, attempted theft, identity theft. She's looking at serious prison time. Good, I said. Marcus looked at me, his eyes full of shame. Dad, I'm so sorry. You tried to warn me. You tried to tell me, and I didn't listen. I chose her over you. I believed her lies, and his voice cracked. I let her hurt you. She hit you, and I didn't believe you. I sat down in the chair next to him and took his hand. Marcus, listen to me. I'm not mad at you. You hear me? I'm not mad. You loved her. You trusted her. That's not a weakness, son. That's who you are. You see the good in people. That's one of the things I love most about you. But I should have listened. Maybe. But you're young, you're learning, and now you know. Now you know to trust your gut, to look at people's actions, not just their words. He nodded, tears streaming down his face. Come on, I said, standing up and pulling him with me. Let's go home. Your home? Our home. We left the police station together, father and son, and drove back to the shotgun house on the east side. The same house where I'd raised him. The same house where he'd grown from a boy into a man. We sat on the back porch, just like we used to, watching the sun sink below the horizon. And for the first time in months, I felt like I could breathe. Dad, Marcus said quietly. Yes, son? Thank you for not giving up on me. I put my arm around his shoulders. I could never give up on you, Marcus. You're my son. You're everything to me. We sat in silence for a while, and then Marcus spoke again. I lost everything, Dad. The savings, the retirement account. She maxed out all the credit cards before she tried to run. I'm $50,000 in debt. I might lose the apartment. I don't know how I'm going to recover from this. You'll recover the same way I recovered when your mama died, I said. One day at a time, one step at a time, and you won't do it alone. We'll figure it out together. He leaned his head on my shoulder, just like he did when he was a little boy. I love you, Dad. I love you too, son. And sitting there on that porch in that moment, I realized something. Simone had taken Marcus's money. She'd taken his trust. She'd nearly destroyed his spirit. But she couldn't take what really mattered. She couldn't take the bond between a father and his son. She couldn't take the lessons I'd taught him. She couldn't take his goodness, his work ethic, his heart. Those things were his, and nobody could steal them. The trial happened fast. Simone's lawyer tried to get her released on bail, but the judge denied it. Flight risk, they said, which was accurate, considering she'd literally been packing to flee the country when Marcus caught her. She was held in Richmond City Jail while awaiting trial. Marcus didn't visit her, didn't take her calls. He was done. The arraignment was in June. I went with Marcus to the courthouse, a big brick building downtown with marble floors and too much air conditioning. We sat in the gallery while Simone was brought in, wearing an orange jumpsuit, her hair pulled back in a ponytail, no makeup. She looked smaller somehow, diminished. When her eyes found Marcus, she smiled. Actually smiled. Like this was all a misunderstanding, like he'd forgive her and take her back. Marcus looked away. The charges were read. Attempted wire fraud, identity theft, theft by deception. The prosecutor, a sharp woman in her 40s with gray in her hair, laid out the case, the offshore account, the forged documents, the pattern of financial abuse and manipulation. Simone's lawyer tried to argue that it was a misunderstanding, that Simone had been planning a surprise for Marcus, that the money transfer was meant to be a gift. The prosecutor demolished that argument in under 5 minutes, presenting bank records, emails, while text messages between Simone and her friends where she literally said, "I'm gonna bleed this fool dry and disappear." The judge set a trial date for September. Over the summer, Marcus moved back in with me. We cleared out his old bedroom, the one I'd been using for storage, and made it livable again. He sold most of his furniture, gave up the apartment in the museum district, and started the painful process of rebuilding his life. The debt was crushing. $53,000 when all was said and done. Credit cards, personal loans, the money Simone had already transferred out and spent. Marcus worked with a financial advisor to set up a payment plan. It would take years to pay off. But he showed up every day, went to work, came home, had dinner with me at that same kitchen table where I'd helped him with his homework 20 years earlier. We talked, really talked, about Simone, about the warning signs he'd missed, about why he'd wanted so badly to believe her. I think part of me wanted to prove something, he admitted one night. I wanted to prove that I'd made it, that I was successful enough to have a beautiful wife and a nice apartment and a good life. I wanted to prove I wasn't just Gary Thomas's son from the East Side. You got nothing to prove, Marcus. You are successful. You did make it. But success isn't about stuff. It's not about appearances. It's about character. It's about integrity. And you got both of those things in spades. He nodded slowly. I know that now. The trial started on September 14th. Marcus and I were there every day, sitting in the front row, watching as the prosecution built its case. They called bank managers who testified about the fraudulent transfers. They called Marcus's financial advisor who laid out the extent of the theft. They even called Simone's friends, 3 women who testified under oath that Simone had bragged about marrying Marcus for his money. One of them, a woman named Crystal with long braids and heavy makeup, said, "Simone told me she picked Marcus because he was dumb enough to believe anything. She said he was easy to manipulate. She said she'd drain his accounts and be on a beach in the Bahamas within a year." Marcus flinched at every word. Simone's lawyer tried to discredit the witnesses, tried to paint Simone as a victim of circumstances. But it didn't work. The evidence was overwhelming. On September 21st, the jury came back, guilty on all counts. Simone stood there, stone-faced, as the verdict was read, and when the judge asked if she had anything to say, she finally looked at Marcus. "I'm sorry," she said, but her voice was flat, empty, like she was reading lines in a play. The judge sentenced her to 8 years in federal prison. With good behavior, she'd be eligible for parole in 5. Marcus didn't react. He just sat there, staring straight ahead. After the sentencing, we walked out of that courthouse together. The sun was bright, the air was warm, and people were going about their normal days. Cars honking, birds chirping, the world spinning on indifferent to our pain. "How do you feel?" I asked. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. Then, empty, and relieved and sad, all at the same time. "That's normal, son." "Is it?" "Yeah, you loved her. Or you loved who you thought she was. That's a hard thing to let go of." He nodded. "You know what the worst part is?" "What?" "I keep thinking about that night, when she lied about you, when she hit you and said you attacked her. And I believed her, Dad. I chose her over you." His voice broke. "How do I live with that?" I stopped walking and turned to face him. "Marcus, look at me." He met my eyes. "You were in love. You were manipulated by someone who was very good at manipulation. And yes, you made a mistake. But you learned from it. You grew from it. And when the truth finally came out, you chose right. You chose us. You chose this family. That's what matters. But what if I'd lost you? What if you'd given up on me?" "I never would have given up on you, son. Never. You're my boy. Nothing could change that." He pulled me into a hug right there on the courthouse steps, and we stood there for a long time, holding each other, while the world moved around us. 2 years later, September 2022. I'm 69 years old, sitting on the back porch of a new house. Not the shotgun house on the east side. We moved out of there last year. This is a small 3-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood in Henrico County. Marcus bought it, insisted on it, said he wanted us to have a place that was ours. A fresh start. My knee is doing okay. I still have pain on cold mornings, but it's manageable. I'm retired now, officially as of my 68th birthday. Marcus wouldn't let me work anymore. Said he wanted to take care of me the way I took care of him. Marcus is doing better. The debt is mostly paid off. He's still working at the same marketing firm, but he got promoted last year to Director of Client Services. He's making good money. And more importantly, he's happy. He's dating someone new, a woman named Angela who teaches 2nd grade at an elementary school in the city. She's sweet, genuine, funny. The first time Marcus brought her over for Sunday dinner, she showed up with flowers for the table and a homemade pie. She complimented my cooking, asked about my life, and treated Marcus with respect and kindness. "She's the one," I told Marcus later after Angela left. "Dad, we've only been dating 6 months." "I know, but I can see it. She's good people, Marcus. Real good people." He smiled, a real smile, the kind I hadn't seen in years. "I think so too, Dad, but I'm taking it slow this time, learning from my mistakes." "That's smart, son. That's real smart." Today is a Sunday. Angela is coming over for dinner. Marcus is in the kitchen helping me prep the food. We're making pot roast, mashed potatoes, green beans, and biscuits. The house smells like home. "Dad," Marcus says, peeling potatoes at the sink, "can I ask you something?" "Course." "Do you ever regret it? Speaking up about Simone, knowing what it cost you?" I think about it for a moment. About those months when Marcus wouldn't talk to me. About the pain of losing my son, even temporarily. About the anger and the hurt and the loneliness. "No," I say finally, "I don't regret it, because speaking up was the right thing to do. Even when it hurt, even when it cost me. Because loving someone means telling them the truth, even when they don't want to hear it. Even if they hate you for it." Even then, because real love isn't about being liked, it's about doing what's best for the people you care about, even when it's hard. Marcus nods slowly. I get that now. I didn't then, but I get it now. The doorbell rings. Angela's here. Marcus wipes his hands on a dish towel and goes to answer it, and I hear their voices mixing in the hallway. Her laugh, his greeting, the sound of a kiss. They come into the kitchen together, Angela holding a bouquet of sunflowers and smiling wide. Gary, she says, hugging me, something smells incredible. Just pot roast, I say. Nothing fancy. Are you kidding? Marcus says your pot roast is legendary. We eat dinner together, the three of us, around the new dining room table Marcus bought. We talk and laugh and share stories. Angela tells us about her students. Marcus talks about a big project at work. I tell them about the neighbor's cat that keeps sneaking into our yard. It's simple, ordinary, perfect. After Angela leaves, Marcus and I clean up the kitchen together, washing dishes side by side like we've done 1,000 times before. Dad, Marcus says, drying a plate. Yes, son? Thank you for everything, for raising me right, for warning me about Simone, for not giving up on me, for loving me even when I didn't deserve it. I put down the dish I'm washing and look at him. Marcus, you always deserved it, always, and I'm proud of you. Not because of your job or your money or your success. I'm proud because you're a good man, a kind man, a man with integrity. That's what matters. He sets down the plate he's drying and hugs me. I love you, Dad. I love you too, son. Later that night, after Marcus has gone to bed, I sit on the back porch with a cup of coffee, looking up at the stars. And I think about Lorraine, about that promise I made in the delivery room 35 years ago. Teach him to be good, to work hard, to see people for who they really are. I kept that promise. It cost me, it hurt, but I kept it. And Marcus learned the lessons he needed to learn. He stumbled, he fell, but he got back up. And that's what matters. I think about Simone, sitting in a prison cell somewhere, and I don't feel anger anymore. Just sadness. Sadness for a woman so consumed by greed and selfishness that she destroyed her own chance at happiness. Sadness for all the people like her, people who see others as tools to be used instead of human beings to be loved. But mostly, I feel grateful. Grateful that Marcus is okay. Grateful that we rebuilt our relationship. Grateful for second chances and new beginnings. I think about young folks out there watching this, hearing this story. And I want you to know something. If someone in your life is warning you about a person you love, listen. Really listen. They might see something you're too close to see. They might be saving you from a world of pain. And if you're the one doing the warning, don't give up. Even if the person you're warning pushes you away. Even if they choose wrong. Keep loving them. Keep showing up. Because eventually, if they're good people, they'll see the truth. And they'll need you when they do. Life is hard. People will disappoint you, betray you, use you. But it's also full of beauty, full of love, full of second chances. You just got to keep your eyes open. Keep your heart guarded but not closed. Keep working hard and treating people right. And trust that the truth always comes out in the end. I finish my coffee and stand up, my knee protesting slightly. I walk inside, lock the door, and turn off the lights. Tomorrow is Monday. Marcus will go to work. I'll put her around the house, rock, maybe work in the garden. Maybe call my cousin Delroy. Life will go on. Simple, ordinary, beautiful. And that's enough. That's more than enough. If this story touched you, I want you to do something for me. Drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from. Tell me if you've ever had to warn someone you love. Tell me if you've ever been warned and didn't listen. Share your story, because we're all connected. We're all going through this thing called life together. And remember, peace don't come cheap, but it's worth every bit of pain it takes to find it. My name is Gary Thomas. I'm 74 years old, and I'm finally at peace.